Hi, welcome back everybody. This is Mihai, and I would like to share one more tool in this playlist of um, toolbox of practices to support mindfulness, presence, meditation, healing, awakening, embodiment. So, the way we start the day, the way we start the day, the first hour, the first half an hour, they have a major influence on our state of consciousness during the day, our emotional state, our mental state. And so, in the fourth way tradition, a crucial idea was that men, as we are when we become adult, we are far from being finished, far from having reached our potential of consciousness. So we actually spend most of our life in this state of identification and lost in daydreaming and in a state of self-forgetfulness. And this is, for quite some time, this is the natural state of us, in a state of self-forgetfulness. And then we engage in seeking or some spiritual practices. We find a teacher, we find a book, we find a therapist or a workshop, and then we hear about these ideas and we resonate, and then we are inspired. We are inspired, and we are kind of putting effort, putting attention, meditating, studying, this or that, spending time with like-minded people interested on the path. So whenever we do that, being with the teacher, with the therapist, with some other like-minded spiritual friends, reading the book, meditating, we are reminded, we are inspired. The content that comes up is acts as a reminder to boost our practice, to be more consciously present, to come out of daydreaming, to be in an ongoing space of observing ourselves, throughout the day. That would be a more mature spiritual practice, would be to activate the spiritual engine, so to say, putting our attention towards the soul, towards presence, towards consciousness. So yeah, that's what happens. We are reminded, and then we have some kind of nice flow, and then somehow we forget. Like, it's easy to forget, being lost in activities, lost in um, uh, you know earthly doings. So for a long time on a spiritual path, it's very important to remind oneself of what matters to you. If you are watching this, it means that it matters to you, some level of self-awareness, some level of awakening. That's what matters to you. So in order to really make progress on this path, it's important to start in the morning. That's the whole spiel. I see many people, including myself, throughout the ages, throughout the times, how people wake up, and then the first thing we do is like we go towards the cell phone, bam, look at the cell phone, and then we look at either messages or emails, or go on Facebook, or look at Yahoo News or TikTok or whatever. So right away, we just come from the subconscious, we come straight into kind of the cell phone is an extension of the mind and the stimulation. And then very likely we go into, oh shit, I have to do this, I have to do that, some kind of sense of anxiety, a sense of there's not enough time, a sense of the need to do. Somehow there is no thought that we think about our spiritual goal. um, so we start the day with this mechanical efficiency. We start the day with being distracted from our soul, from presence. We start the day with just being lost in the world, you know. Another way we do it is like, okay, we wake up in the morning and they say we don't go for the phone, but right away we go, bam. Uh, Even if we don't go on the devices, we kind of go into the internal device, the mind. And right away we're going to, okay, what I need to do, what's happening, going to this efficient mode, right away going in the shower and just leaving. So, you may say, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, everybody's doing that, right? Well, what's wrong with that from the point of view of somebody who is interested to become more awake and to suffer less? Um, from this point of view, there is something wrong. So this way of starting the day that I described, basically the effect is that now, first hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours of the day, there's no thought, there's no remembrance about presence. There's no remembrance about my consciousness spiritual goal. Um, yeah, so this part of ourselves that is interested in the work is totally pushed on the back burner, and on the front burner is doing and distraction and putting attention in all these things, which are, although they are necessary and although they are part of the game here, to do life, happiness and stability and inner peace and joy, they don't come from being lost in the world and in the objects. So, what is recommended by various spiritual traditions, in particular Gurdjieff Fourth Way, but I've encountered this in other traditions, is that to honor God, let's say, I'm not saying in a religious way, but honoring the work, honoring my spiritual goal, honoring the work by engaging in it as soon as possible, as soon as we wake up. If we do as I described before, basically the half a day passes and then there's no remembrance about these things. So we are asleep all day, and then maybe we remember when we have a break at work, or we may do a little meditation in the evening, or we watch a little video at some point, and that's not enough. That's not enough to make a dent in they call it in the Fourth Way, the wall of mechanicality, the wall of sleep. So, what I recommend as a skillful practice to boost your work, to strengthen the part in you that wishes to awaken, is to prioritize consciousness as soon as you start the day. So there are different ways to go about it. Okay, one way to go about it is that you wake up. Definitely don't go for the cell phone right away. Don't go for the world. Don't go for the mind right away. I mean, of course, you need to set up your day when you wake up and all of that. When you go to sleep or when you wake up, there has to be some intentionality. But don't start right away with the cell phone. So I try to have the cell phone, to activate the cell phone after some time, after a little bit of practice, after a little bit of catching up with myself, coming back to myself. Okay, so not engaging with the phone right away. Another useful way of reminding oneself of the work is to, let's say, even as you are in bed or even in the bathroom and come back to bed, one way would be to just sit up and meditate for even 5 minutes or 3 minutes. And what I mean by that is, before going into doing and thinking, to marinate more in just being. This is actually, there are some special times when we wake up in the morning that the mind usually is quiet, and so we are this state of the gap, the aware background is here. So let's stay here more, just being conscious of this sense of aware presence and staying there, giving it 2, 3, 5 minutes, just being present before engaging in activities. That will be one way to do it. Another way to do it is, let's say, to have a spiritual book or some book that inspires you. I used to like a lot Suzuki, or whatever. It can be Fourth Way, it can be Eckhart Tolle, it can be anything that is inspiring your spiritual practice. So have a book like that right next to the bed, and as soon as you wake up, you know, read read a book, read a page or 2 pages from that book, so you remind yourself of what really matters to you, you know. So you jumpstart your soul, your jumpstart your searching, your devotion to truth, to awakening early on. um, Another way to go, this is my preferred one, is yeah, wake up, go to the bathroom, like to have a little coffee, uh, and then I would like to sit, to do some sitting meditation. I like to do 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sometimes I like to do some sitting meditation and then engage in a little bit of somatic processing practice, like killer inquiries or something like that when I have more time. It makes a major difference if the first hour of the day I dedicate to what's the most important to me: presence, awakening, self observation, any whatever spiritual goal you have. So, yeah, take whatever you need from here and really apply this. See what happens. What's how the day would be, what your state will be, trying both of these options, you know, just going about business as usual and not putting priority on your inner work, inner practice, or starting as soon as possible. Actually, there was another little practice. It is said in various traditions that the time when you wake up in the morning and the time when you fall asleep, that time is something, there's a transition happening where the before, when you wake up in the morning, before the mind activates fully, or when the mind starts to unplug when we go to sleep, those times are important times because the experience of the gap of the aware background of the presence is more there. So yeah, there was Jean Klein and other teachers that I studied with. They would recommend, okay, wake up in the morning, and before even like opening your eyes, or as soon as you open your eyes, don't go with the mind, don't go with the mind. Just remember yourself. Remember, come back to this sense of aware being, wordless presence. Just hear, sense the body, see the light. Somehow resting as that which is aware, you know, or marinating there more, even like a few minutes in bed. So we acknowledge God in a way that God being this presence, you know, presence, God within, uh, kind of paying homage to this quiet place within, staying there a little bit, then engaging. Another way to go is that it's like stay like that, not going into the mind yet, and kind of being curious about the experience of being. And then we can introduce some, I will talk about this maybe later, this self-inquiry practice. So in this more like quiet space, ask the question, what is aware right now? Who am I? What is aware right now? And not accept any thoughts as an answer. So it's like a quiet, silent, curious investigation. Because what is aware right now is what is aware of this image, what is aware of this sound, is the real you, the real I. So it makes a huge difference to give yourself the stimulus of remembering about the work as soon as possible. If we do that, you will see that you start with remembrance of consciousness, remembrance of the work early in the morning, then it will activate now more frequently. You will already now, you eat, you drive to work or something, you are more present, you are in your groove, rather than being in this mode of running around like a, how they call it, like a chicken without a head, in this state of mechanical efficiency, stress, and all of that. So dipping into our cradle of our true self, and honoring that first thing in the morning. And yeah, try. You can weave any other of the practices, exercises before, and stay tuned for more. Ciao, ciao.